Imagine a single week where a $95 billion chip company just goes public.
Yeah, which is massive on its own.
Right. But then the first AI-generated cyber weapon actually hits the real world. And on top of all that, artificial intelligence finally learns how to interrupt you in a conversation.
I mean, we really are entering this phase of just simultaneous hyperspeed acceleration.
We absolutely are. I'm thrilled you're joining us today for a brand new deep dive.
It's great to be here. The sheer volume of structural shifts we're seeing right now is just unprecedented.
Exactly.
If you really want to understand where the economy and technology are heading over these next few years, I mean, this is the week to pay attention to. We've got a lot of ground to cover.
We really do. But before we jump into the deep end, let's just set the stage for you. Today's date is Sunday, May 17, 2026.
Right, and for this deep dive, our research collection period covers the week of May 10 to 16, 2026.
Though we did slightly extend it back to May 8 just to capture a few crucial ripples that really set this all in motion.
Yeah, those early signals were key.
Definitely. You are tuning into Macroeconomy AI, and today's title is AI Observatory, week of May 10 to 16, 2026.
And we really appreciate you spending your time with us today. The goal here is, to cut through the noise and figure out what actually matters in all these sources.
Exactly. And just a quick note before we unpack the first big story. Today's deep dive is brought to you by DataStream Cloud Solutions, your partner in secure, scalable enterprise architecture.
Yeah, if you're looking to future-proof your infrastructure, DataStream absolutely has you covered.
For sure. And as a reminder, here at Channel, Macroeconomy AI, our mission is bringing a compilation of analyses and news on macroeconomics, technology, and artificial intelligence. So definitely check out DataStream Cloud Solutions to keep your data moving forward.
All right.
Okay, let's get into it, because to really understand the AI boom of mid-May 2026, I mean, we have to follow the money.
Always follow the money.
Right. We need to start with the hardware that's powering this entire revolution, and then look at how these just massive amounts of capital are pushing software right into your daily life.
Yeah.
So let's look at Cerebras Systems. They just debuted on the NASDAQ, and the market reaction was, well, explosive.
Explosive is the right word. I mean, a 68% jumped on day one, closing with a valuation of $95 billion.
Wow.
Just to put that in perspective, this is the largest U.S. tech IPO since Uber back in 2019. It is a staggering influx of capital.
It really is.
But what makes Cerebras truly fascinating isn't just the money, it's the actual physics of what they're building with their WSE3 chip.
Yeah, I saw pictures of this thing, and it's not a normal computer chip. I mean, it looks like a giant square plate.
That's because it essentially is an entire silicon wafer.
Okay.
A standard GPU is tiny, and when you build an AI supercomputer, you have to string thousands of them together.
Right.
But the problem there is that data has to travel between all those tiny chips, which creates this massive bottleneck.
So how did Cerebras fix that?
Cerebras solved it by just not cutting the wafer.
Wait, really? They just leave it whole?
Exactly. By keeping all that processing power on a single massive piece of silicon, which is, by the way, about 58 times larger than a standard GPU, they completely eliminate those data transfer delays.
That's an engineering marvel.
It is. But if we look closer at the financials, there is a very concentrated risk here.
You mean regarding who is actually buying these massive plates of silicon?
Exactly. The filings reveal that 86% of Cerebras' 2025 revenue came from just 2 clients.
Oh, wow. Only 2?
Just 2. And both of those entities are closely linked to the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, I see.
So you have this $95 billion valuation resting almost entirely on the strategic ambitions of a single geographic region.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if Cerebras is essentially selling these massive industrial-grade shovels for the AI gold rush, it seems like companies like OpenAI are trying to build the banks, the offices, and the entire city on top of the gold mine.
That's a great way to look at it.
Because OpenAI's horizontal expansion this week is just as wild, and it's moving straight into the enterprise space.
Yeah, taking that shovel analogy a step further, OpenAI isn't just building the city, they're actually sending foremen into other people's companies to build it for them.
Right.
They formally launched their deployment company this week with over $4 billion in new funding, and they're using a strategy built around what they call forward deployed engineers.
What does that actually look like on the ground, though? I mean, are they just installing software for these companies?
Oh, it's much deeper than that. They are embedding roughly 150 highly specialized engineers directly into the critical workflows of their partner companies.
Wait, so they're physically, or at least virtually, sitting inside the partner's infrastructure?
Exactly. So instead of a company just buying an API key and, hoping their IT team can figure out how to use ChatGPT, OpenAI's own engineers are custom wiring the AI right into their proprietary databases and daily operations.
They're essentially becoming the nervous system for other corporations.
Precisely. They're scaling AI adoption from the inside out.
But they aren't just going after the enterprise level. I mean, they are pushing right into your personal life. OpenAI just launched a personal finance tool for their Pro subscribers, and they're using Plaid to link the ChatGPT interface directly to your real bank accounts.
This is a massive shift in how we interact with financial data.
Yeah.
Millions of people already ask language models for, generic budgeting advice. But by integrating Plaid, the model isn't generic anymore.
Right, because it sees your actual money.
Exactly. It can pull your actual spending, your investments, your future payment liabilities across institutions like Chase or Fidelity, and it synthesizes all of it in real time.
Right.
It really moves the AI from a passive advisor to an active financial agent that understands your exact liquidity.
I have to push back here, though. Giving an AI access to your actual bank account via Plaid feels like a massive leap of trust for the average consumer.
It definitely is.
I mean, handing over the raw data of my entire financial life to a language model, even if you can't move the money yet, feels incredibly risky, given how often these models still hallucinate.
And that tension right there between convenience and privacy, that is going to define this entire era.
Yeah.
You're essentially trading absolute data sovereignty for hyper-personalized intelligence. And, OpenAI is pushing that boundary with developers, too. They just brought their coding agent, Codex, to mobile devices.
Right, so you can start a coding task on your phone while on the train,
Yeah.
and then pick it up on your desktop. But the part that really caught my eye is that Codex can now schedule its own future work.
Yes. It can actually wake up automatically to continue long-term tasks over days or weeks without you even prompting it.
That's crazy.
It's a direct response to Anthropic's Claude code, which launched a remote control feature earlier this year. But this whole expansion of capital and capabilities from your bank account to autonomous coding isn't happening in a vacuum.
No, not at all.
It is the front line of a massive geopolitical race.
And here's where it gets really interesting. That brings us to Anthropic. They just published this detailed policy paper called Two Scenarios for 2028.
Yeah.
And reading it, it feels less like a tech blog and more like a national security briefing.
Because that's exactly how they view it. Anthropic argues that 2028 is the critical window where the gap between the U.S. and China will either widen decisively or close entirely.
Right.
And their biggest concern isn't just China buying hardware, it's something they call distillation attacks. They are explicitly urging the U.S. government to close export loopholes to prevent this, basically to guarantee a 12 to 24-month advantage.
Wait, what exactly is a distillation attack? I'm Anthropic. How is a foreign competitor stealing my model without actually, hacking into my servers and downloading the code?
Okay, think of it like a master chess player tutoring a novice.
Okay.
The novice doesn't need to surgically steal the master's brain. They just watch the master play thousands of games and copy the moves.
Oh, I see.
Right. So in a distillation attack, a competitor takes a massive, expensive frontier model, like the ones OpenAI or Anthropic spend billions to train, and they feed it billions of prompts.
Just constantly asking it questions.
Exactly. They then take all those perfectly reasoned, high-quality answers and use them to train a smaller, much cheaper model. You are essentially siphoning off the reasoning capabilities without having to spend the billions of dollars on the original trial and error.
So Anthropic is basically asking the U.S. to build a higher wall to protect their lead and stop this tutoring process.
Exactly.
But then, in the exact same week, we see Baidu launch Ernie 5.1. With all the U.S. chip restrictions already in place, I was shocked to see it rocketing up the global leaderboards. How are they training something that powerful if they're cut off from the best hardware?
It comes down to raw force efficiency. Ernie 5.1 reached fourth globally on the El Marino leaderboard, outperforming many Western models in complex tasks.
Wow.
But the truly staggering metric from our sources is that its training cost is 94% below the industry average.
94% less. How is that even physically possible?
They use a technique called multidimensional elastic pre-training.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, instead of building a massive sprawling model from scratch, Imagine taking an enormous comprehensive library and surgically extracting just the core, highly optimized reference books you need for a specific subject.
Oh, interesting.
Baidu essentially extracted optimized subnetworks from their older architecture. This creates a model with only a third of the total parameters, which means it requires drastically less compute power to train and run.
Okay, so if Baidu is training top-tier models at 6% of the cost, are export controls actually working? Or are they just forcing Chinese labs to become terrifyingly efficient?
That's the big question. History shows us that sanctions often act as a powerful forcing function for domestic innovation.
Right, necessity is the mother of invention.
Exactly. If you can't buy the biggest engine, you are forced to build the most aerodynamic car. The sheer efficiency gains we're seeing suggest that simply restricting hardware compute might not be enough to maintain that 12 to 24-month lead that Anthropic is pushing for.
So the models are getting cheaper to train, smarter, and more autonomous everywhere. Which leads to the obvious question. What happens when these highly efficient models get into the hands of bad actors?
Yeah.
I mean, how much damage can they actually do out in the wild?
This week, we got a very clear, very concerning answer to that. We saw the very best and the absolute worst of AI capabilities in the realm of cybersecurity.
Let's start with the worst.
All right. The Google Threat Intelligence Group confirmed the first real-world zero-day exploit created with the assistance of AI.
And just to clarify for everyone, a 0-day is a flaw in software that the creator doesn't even know exists yet, meaning there are 0 days to patch it before the hackers strike.
Correct. A criminal group deployed an AI-generated Python script to completely bypass two-factor authentication in a widely used open-source tool.
Bypassing 2FA entirely. But wait, if the AI was smart enough to find the flaw and write the script, how did Google actually catch it?
Because the AI left its fingerprints at the scene.
What do you mean?
When humans write malware, they're usually very stealthy and concise. But this script had bizarrely detailed conversational documentation embedded right in the code.
Oh, like it was chatting with a hacker.
Sort of, yes. Furthermore, the AI totally hallucinated the vulnerability scores. It essentially bragged about the severity of the flaw using a scoring metric that didn't even make logical sense.
Wow.
Yeah. But the terrifying takeaway from Google's analysts is that the era of AI-assisted vulnerability exploitation isn't looming in the future anymore. It has officially arrived.
And it's not just hackers building weapons. Sometimes the AI just casually hands your data over to a stranger.
That's true.
I was reading in the MIT Technology Review about chatbots like Google's Gemini and ChatGPT leaking the real private phone numbers of individuals. There's a story about a grad student who found her colleague's personal cell number just by testing a basic prompt.
Yeah, that was a huge story.
A privacy removal firm noted a 400% spike in AI-related privacy requests recently. Why can't they just go into the system and delete the number?
What's fascinating here is that these AI models aren't databases.
All right.
They don't have like a spreadsheet of phone numbers where an engineer can just hit delete. During the training process, they ingest massive amounts of data from the internet, including personally identifiable information, or PII.
So it's all mixed in.
Yes.
Yeah.
That data gets mathematically baked into the statistical weights of the neural network. Once you bake the cake, you can't just reach in and pull out the egg.
That is a great analogy.
So right now, there is no simple mechanism for an individual to guarantee a chatbot won't occasionally regurgitate their phone number. It is an inherent architectural flaw.
It's like hiring the world's greatest locksmith to secure your house, but realizing he has a habit of accidentally publishing your home address on billboards.
Exactly.
Which perfectly transitions to the other side of this paradox. Because that exact same technology is currently securing our infrastructure at a scale we've never seen. Mozilla announced they used AI to fix a massive number of security bugs in their Firefox browser.
Yes. They utilized Anthropic's models to fix 423 security bugs in April alone.
That's incredible.
It's 14 times more than they fixed in the same month the previous year. And they achieved this using something called advanced agentic orchestration.
Okay, what does agentic orchestration mean in this context?
Think of it like an AI project manager. Instead of just asking a single chatbot to find a bug, the system breaks down the massive Firefox codebase into smaller tasks.
Okay.
It then hands those tasks out to dozens of sub-agent AI workers, has them hunt for vulnerabilities in parallel, and then reviews their proposed fixes before submitting a final patch.
So it's a whole team of AIs.
Exactly. And using this method, the AI found sandbox flaws that had been hiding in the codebase for over 15 years. Vulnerabilities that human audits had missed since 2011 were suddenly illuminated and patched.
It really is a paradox. An AI can perfectly orchestrate the patching of a 15-year-old codebase flaw, but it can't reliably prevent itself from doxing a grad student.
It speaks to what the models are naturally optimized for, you know? Code has strict syntax, objective rules, and clear logic. Models excel at that.
Right.
Privacy, on the other hand, is highly contextual, and a phone number is just statistical noise to the neural network.
That makes sense.
But companies are trying to build better guardrails. OpenAI just introduced contextual safety summaries.
How does that work?
Well, if you are having a highly sensitive conversation, say, about mental health, the AI now spins up a dedicated reasoning model in the background.
Oh, like a monitor.
Yeah, that background model keeps a concise, factual note of the risk context as the conversation evolves, which has actually improved safe responses by 50% in those high-risk scenarios.
So they are desperately trying to fix the leaks in the system while simultaneously scaling it up. But, you can't have infinite digital growth in a finite physical world.
No, you can't.
We talk about AI like it's this magical invisible cloud, but this week, all this hyper-acceleration hit some very real physical and legal walls.
Yeah,
Are we finally hitting the physical limits of the cloud?
we might be. The physical friction is becoming impossible to ignore. According to a recent Gallup poll, 70% of Americans now oppose the construction of new AI data centers in their communities.
Wow, 70%.
Yeah, and we're seeing opposition across the entire political spectrum.
Land, water for their cooling towers, and incredible amounts of power from the electrical grid, right?
Precisely. The environmental and economic impacts are tangible. Over 100 local communities have already implemented moratoriums on new data center construction.
That's going to bottleneck things.
Absolutely. At the federal level, politicians like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are proposing legislation to pause new data center construction until national safeguards regarding energy and water use are established.
So the politicians are stepping in.
Yes, and the industry knows this is an existential bottleneck. Our sources note that the AI sector has already spent an estimated $400 million on U.S. elections this year.
400 million.
Yeah, they are trying to secure the political runway necessary to secure the physical runway.
And it's not just local zoning boards pushing back. I mean, the legal foundation of the biggest AI company in the world is currently on trial. The massive lawsuit between Elon Musk and OpenAI is wrapping up its closing arguments.
The stakes in this courtroom in Oakland are astronomical. Musk is seeking up to $134 billion in damages and the removal of Sam Altman.
It's just staggering numbers.
It is. The core of the argument is over governance. OpenAI started as a non-profit lab dedicated to the benefit of humanity. Musk argues they have fundamentally abandoned that mission to become a closed-source, profit-driven entity serving Microsoft's interests.
With OpenAI currently valuing itself around $850 billion and gearing up for an IPO, what happens if the jury sides with Musk?
It could trigger an earthquake across the tech sector. It could redefine the legal structure of AI laboratories in the United States and potentially unravel OpenAI's deeply integrated partnerships with Microsoft and other massive investors.
It is incredible to step back and look at this. You have systems writing flawless code and discovering 15-year-old vulnerabilities. But at the exact same time, you have towns banning the buildings that house them and multi-billion-dollar lawsuits over who actually controls the off switch.
It's a lot of friction.
It really is. Yet, despite all this friction, the core technology is moving into a completely new paradigm. We are officially shifting away from clunky turn-based chatbots.
And this might be the most profound shift of the entire week.
Yeah.
Mira Murati's new company, Thinking Machines Lab, introduced what they call interaction models. They have fundamentally solved the latency issue that always makes talking to an AI feel slightly robotic.
How fast is it?
Their new system processes audio, video, and text simultaneously in microturns of just 200 milliseconds.
200 milliseconds. That is essentially the threshold of human perception for conversation, meaning it listens and speaks at the exact same time. It can interrupt you mid-sentence, and you can interrupt it, and it tracks the context perfectly. It completely eliminates the cognitive load of, like, waiting your turn.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the entire interaction paradigm is shifting. We are moving away from AI as a tool that you query to AI as an active, continuous, collaborative agent.
Right.
You see this perfectly illustrated in Google DeepMind's announcement this week regarding complex mathematics.
Oh, the AI co-mathematician.
Yes.
DeepMind built a multi-agent system based on Gemini 3.1, and it just hit an unprecedented 48% on the Frontier Math benchmark. And for you listening, Frontier Math isn't just high school calculus.
No, not at all.
It's a benchmark built by hundreds of expert mathematicians containing massive unsolved problems that the creators thought would be impossible for AI to solve for decades.
The problems in frontier math are so complex that they often require pages of novel reasoning just to formulate a strategy.
But how to do it?
The way DeepMind tackled this is revolutionary. The AI operates as a persistent research workspace. You have parallel AI agents drafting mathematical proofs, searching academic literature, actually executing code to test out theories, and rigorously reviewing each other's hypotheses in real time.
It's an entire virtual laboratory working in concert.
Exactly. A professor at Oxford utilized it to solve an open problem that had stumped human mathematicians, noting the AI found a strategy that was, quote, extremely intelligent.
So the AI isn't just looking up answers in a database. It is genuinely pushing the boundaries of human knowledge in real-time collaboration with human experts.
Yeah.
Which raises the ultimate question. How does the general public keep up with an intelligence that operates like a team of postdoc researchers?
Yeah.
Well, MIT is trying to solve that side of the equation with their universal AI program.
It is a vital, incredibly ambitious initiative. MIT is making their core introductory course, Fundamentals of Programming and Machine Learning, completely free for anyone globally.
That's huge.
The stated goal from MIT Open Learning is to educate 1 billion learners over the next 10 years. They recognize that if non-technical people don't understand how to utilize these systems, the economic divide is going to become insurmountable.
1 billion people. It really underscores the urgency of the moment we are living in. We're at this incredible inflection point where the specialized hardware, the massive capital deployment, the autonomous capabilities, and the intense societal friction are all compounding at the exact same time.
The acceleration is undeniable. I mean, the developments of this single week, from the Cerebra's IPO and the sheer efficiency of Baidu to the AI co-mathematician, demonstrate that the timeline for AI integration into our core societal structures is much, much shorter than almost anyone anticipated.
With sisters that can now talk over us in real time, schedule their own coding tasks while we sleep, and solve frontier math problems we thought would take decades. Well, the real question isn't whether AI will replace us. The question you have to ask yourself is, how will you choose to collaborate with an intelligence that doesn't sleep, doesn't wait its turn, and is learning to reason at a fraction of the cost?
That's the real challenge ahead of us.
It absolutely is. And that wraps up today's deep dive into the sources.
Please remember, this material is a compilation of open projections and information from third-party sources and is strictly for informational and educational purposes. It presents no ideological bias. It does not constitute investment recommendation or financial advice of any kind. Projections are subject to frequent revisions based on new information, external facts, and evolving narratives. Likewise, past performance is no guarantee of future results.
Thank you so much for joining us and lending us your time and attention today. We always appreciate it. That was today's Macroeconomy AI. We'll leave it here. You all stay well and keep an eye out for our new broadcasts.
Subscribe to our channel, access the links, and follow Macroeconomy AI on social media. Bye!